Hello and welcome. You're watching Next IAS English. Today we are going to talk about a very important issue which is related to society, and the issue is the Centre evasive on delay in appointments to National Commission for Minorities NCM. Now, there has been a debate about how Hindus should be a minority in the states where they are less in number. Alright, and that debate has been there since a long period of time. But talking about it as in India seems ironical because Hindus in India are a majority. But you might not know that in some certain states they are in very less number, and that is what it is all about. But before that, before getting into the topic, let us talk about the UPSC relevance of this topic. So this topic is highly relevant for GS paper 2, which is polity, NCM Act 1992, statutory bodies, minority rights, constitutional safeguards, article 29 to 30, vacancy and autonomy issues. Okay, and then this is highly relevant for GS paper 1, society, religious and linguistic diversity, minority status debates, including Hindus as minorities in some states. Then GS paper 3, governance, also it becomes highly relevant. How? Because minority welfare schemes and institutional effectiveness. For prelims also this is highly relevant topic because this is notified minority communities, NCM composition, powers and mandates. So these are some of the keywords that you can read about after we get over with the video. Now, starting from the debate that we were talking about. So, minority status and inclusion of Hindus. A lot of times we do not understand how in India Hindus can be minority, but that is true. How? The Constitution of India does not explicitly define minority but recognizes religious and linguistic minorities. As you all know, there are religious as well as linguistic minorities in India, and minority status is officially notified by the central government under the NCM Act 1992. So minority status is officially given under the NCM Act 1992. Now, 6 religious communities have been notified as minorities, which are Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, Parsis and Jains. These are the 6 religious communities which are minorities, and Hindus are not recognized as minority at the national level. You need to understand that at national level Hindus are not minorities since they are the majority community in India. They are the majority community at national level. But however, in some states and regions Hindus can be considered minorities based on local demographics. So in certain states, in certain regions, they can be considered as minority because of the demographics, because in that particular region the Hindus are less. This regional minority status affects access to some state level protections and welfare schemes, and the debate continues on uniform criteria and inclusion of linguistic ethnic minorities alongside religious groups. Now the debate keeps on continuing, but there is one thing that you need to understand: this NCM Act. And what is NCM? Now, what has happened? Why is NCM in news? Why are we talking about this now? Okay, so since April 2025, April 2025 से all key post in ACM, जितनी भी key post हैं ACM में, may it be chairperson, vice chairperson and members, remain vacant. Now, even if we debate about minorities, even if we do talk about minorities, even if we do talk about Hindus as minorities or the 6 other religious communities as minorities, who do we talk about it to? किससे बात की जाए? क्योंकि 2025 अप्रैल से जितनी भी की पोस्ट हैं वो सारी वेकेंट है, तो ये सारे डिबेट्स they become useless. They are of no use. Why? Because NCM is effectively headless and non-functional. At this point of time, NCM is headless and non-functional. Delhi High Court has sought a government response on delay in filling vacancies. Now, there has been a delay in filling these vacancies. Ministry of Minority Affairs has not committed to a timeline for appointments. Now, there has been no timeline for appointments. There is no timeline. It can be today, it can be tomorrow, it can be 2 years later. So, in this period, when there is no authority, when there is no head of NCM, who are we doing all these debates for? What are we doing all these debates for? Okay, this causes disruption in protecting minority rights and fulfilling NCM's constitutional mandate. Now, of course, this causes this disruption in protecting minority rights and also fulfilling the NCM's constitutional mandate also. Moving forward, let us talk about the background of National Commission for Minorities NCM. Now, what is the background of it? Let us talk about it. So, statutory body established under NCM Act 1992. So, this is a statutory body which was established in 1992 under the NCM Act to protect minority rights in India, to protect minority rights, minority communities in India. Now, constituted for safeguarding rights and promoting interests of minority communities. This was constituted to safeguard the rights and also protect the interest of minority communities in India. And this was first formed on 17th May 1993. That's the date this was first formed on. Now, this consists of a chairperson, vice chairperson and 5 members nominated by the central government. So, the central government nominates chairperson, vice chairperson and 5 members. Right? At least 5 members including the chairperson must belong to notified minority regions, religions, Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, Parsis and Jains. So, at least 5 members including the chairperson should belong to notified minority religions. Alright. Now, members serve a 3-year term. NCM has quasi-judicial powers for recommendations. Now, all the members serve a 3-year term and they have quasi-judicial powers for recommendations. Moving forward, let us talk about the role and importance of NCM, why NCM is important and what is the role of NCM. So, this acts as a watchdog for minority rights, protection and promotion. So, of course, it keeps an eye on whether the minority rights are being protected and promoted, and monitors implementation of laws. If the laws are properly being implemented, policies and safeguards benefiting minorities. So, are these the laws which benefit the minorities, the policies, is it being safeguarded? That's the role. Then advises the central and state governments on minority welfare. So, on minority welfare also they advise the central and state government, investigates complaints of discrimination and violations against minorities. So, if there are any complaints against discrimination and violations against the minorities, that also the investigation also falls under NCM. Plays a vital role in maintaining India's pluralistic and inclusive democratic fabric. Of course, we know that India is a democratic country and we know that there are different religions here, there are different groups for different communities. So, this plays a key role in maintaining India's pluralistic and inclusive democratic fabric. Now, what are the challenges faced by NCM? So, what are the challenges? Let's talk about that. Now, the vacancies are chronic. Leadership posts remain unfilled for long, crippling operations. Now, for long period of times, these leadership posts remain unfilled, which cripples the operations. Limited autonomy, appointments controlled by government, concerns over independence. Now, the autonomy is also very limited. The appointments are controlled by who? Government, and there are concerns over independence also. And then their advisory role, cannot enforce decisions or impose penalties, lacks binding powers. So, they cannot enforce their decisions or they cannot impose penalties, and they lack binding powers also. The definition ambiguity, minority status based solely on religion, excluding linguistic ethnic groups. So, minority status is based solely on what? Religion. Linguistic and ethnic groups they exclude. Okay. Then the credibility erosion, paralysis leads to judicial burden, hampers trust in minority protection as well. So, when there is no credibility, then this leads to paralysis to the judicial burden, and this hampers the trust in minority protection. So, it raises a question, are the minority rights actually being protected? Okay. Moving forward, let us talk about the suggested reforms and way forward. Now, what are the suggested reforms that we can do and what is the way forward? Okay. So, timely appointments. This is one of the key issues that we are discussing today, because it is highly important that there are certain people so that there is authority and the NCM does not remain headless. Alright. Ensure regular filling of posts to maintain functionality. Then empowerment, we should provide them with some power, give NCM powers to take suo motu action and enforce penalties. Autonomy, there should be an autonomy, establish transparent and independent appointment processes. Status upgrade, consider making NCM a constitutional body like NCSC NCT and NCST, and then integration, coordinate minority welfare scheme and strengthen investigation capacity also. Learn globally, adapt best practices from international minority rights bodies. Again, this is also very important. We have a lot to learn. When it comes to learning, there is no limit to learning. We can learn from other countries how they are protecting their minority rights. There are certain countries which are doing really good work in this, and I would like to say that somewhat India lacks in a lot of things, and India can learn a lot through what is happening globally. Alright, then restoring NCM strength, crucial for upholding minority rights and India's democratic values as well. So as we restoring their strength becomes highly crucial for upholding minority rights and India's democratic values as well. Moving forward, let us talk about, so we have talked about a lot of things in this slide, and I think that's a wrap. We come to an end, but with this I would like to ask you a question. The question is, in which year, in what date, we have already talked about this, NCM was first formed? Do tell us in the comment section below. And we have covered this topic multidimensionally. We have talked about the roles, responsibilities, challenges of NCM, and we have also talked about what issues India is facing today and what we can do for these issues to be resolved in the future and the way forward. And that is it for today. I will see you in another deep dive video. Until then, bye bye, take care.